The big beautiful bill faces a big bruising battle in the United States Senate. RFK Jr. pushes ahead with making America healthy again. Plus, President Trump honors the fallen on Memorial Day. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to the 13-minute news hour. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Congress and President Trump's big, beautiful bill, the all-encompassing reconciliation bill that deals with the border, tax cuts, department funding, entitlement reform, and so much more. After tense negotiations, even to the point of President Trump paying a visit to Capitol Hill, the House passed their version of the bill by a vote of 215 to 214. Following passage, House Speaker Mike Johnson spoke to reporters regarding the contents of the bill.
Well, we call it the One Big Beautiful Bill for a reason. It's everything from ensuring border security to restoring American energy dominance. We're going to prevent the largest tax increase in U.S. history. So the equivalent here is really probably the largest tax cut in the history of the country. We're going to get the economy going again by cutting regulations, cutting down on the permitting time for things to get the economy going again.
The White House was equally enthusiastic following the bill's passage, especially considering the lobbying effort put forth by White House officials and President Trump directly.
The One Big Beautiful Bill will permanently secure the border by delivering the largest border security investment in history, funding at least 1 million annual removals of illegal aliens to carry out the largest deportation campaign ever, finishing the Trump border wall, and giving pay raises and bonuses for our incredible ICE and Border Patrol agents. The One Big Beautiful Bill protects the Medicaid program and its benefits for the most vulnerable Americans that the program was designed for by kicking off 1.4 million illegal aliens from receiving benefits and implementing common sense work requirements for able-bodied Americans.
Money is saved in the Medicaid program by not providing taxpayer dollars to illegal aliens and requiring able-bodied Americans to work. That is what had the Democrats in media up in arms. On the Senate side, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson spoke with CNN's Jake Tapper on the need to address spending. This has been a core issue for Johnson for years, and one of his main points that he relayed to CNN host was that this bill continues spending and does essentially nothing to address the debt and the deficit.
Well, the first goal of our budget reconciliation process should be to reduce the deficit. This actually increases it. But let me describe the mess. President Obama averaged about $910 billion of deficits per year. President Trump in his first 3 years averaged about $810. Then COVID hit, over $3 trillion in deficit. It should have ended there. We should have immediately returned to a pre-pandemic level spending, but President Biden averaged $1.9 trillion of deficits over his 4 years. And according to CBO, those deficits now average $2.2 trillion over the next 10 years.
At no other time in the history of this country have we seen such a massive increase in spending as we did during the pandemic, with the exception of World War II. What's different is that following World War II, spending levels dropped dramatically. Following COVID, our spending has not returned to pre-pandemic levels. During the interview, Tapper asked Johnson how he would approach the budget in making the needed cuts.
You start with a reasonable pre-pandemic level spending. You've heard people talk about zero-based budgeting. I'm talking about a budget of 5.5 to 6.5 trillion. Those are options from Clinton, Obama, and Trump, where you just take their actual outlays, plus them up by population growth and inflation, leaving Social Security, Medicare, and interest untouched. I have to believe when you go through $7,000 billion of spending, if you go by it line by line, like Doge has done, you will find hundreds of billions of dollars, and I've proven this in terms of where the spending occurs, hundreds of billions of dollars of spending that if you eliminate, no one would even notice it other than the grifters who are sucking down the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Great points by Johnson. And he highlights so well just how much our spending has gotten out of control. We need to secure the border and make the Trump tax cuts permanent, as well as a host of programs that the House bill addresses. We also need to spend within our means and clean out the deep state. The deep state is a cancer that feeds off of our tax dollars. Now is the time to kill it for good. All right, next let's talk about making America healthy again. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button. Make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, next let's talk about HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his efforts to make America healthy again. Late last week, the White House released the MAHA Commission report, which, as reported by the Post Millennial, revealed that a high consumption of over-processed foods has resulted in more than 30 adverse outcomes, including cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and mental health disorders. Additionally, the report indicated that American children are over-medicalized and delved into the harmful impact of environmental factors and how the digital age has led to a decrease in physical activity for children. Following the release of the report, Secretary Kennedy spoke with CNN's Caitlin Collins on what the consumption of ultra-processed foods are doing to the American public. It's quite interesting to see the change in the left and media regarding healthy eating. They were always the advocates of eating right, getting back to nature, free-range chicken, going organic. Now, maybe because Kennedy has this platform and Kennedy supported Trump, the left and the media have embraced big food and the corporate food talking points over the health of the American people. During the interview, Collins questioned the need to get rid of ultra-processed foods because they are just so much cheaper than natural food products.
You were born into a privileged background, obviously not something you can control, but I wonder what you would say to maybe a single mom of 2 kids who's reading this report about how harmful these cheap but very accessible foods are for her family and saying, well, you know, sometimes that's the best we can do, and that's why that's what's on the food or at the table at the end of the day, or that's what's in their lunchbox.
It's an illusion to think that processed food is cheap, because you end up paying for it with diabetes. You end up paying for it with autoimmune dysregulation, with mitochondrial dysfunction, with inflammation, and you end up paying much higher costs in the long run.
Great response from Kennedy. And it just shows that the media will do anything it can to advance an agenda rather than do basic reporting. The other area that the media refuse to cover is the fact that big food companies are starting to change their practices because of the demand placed on them by the public. Public pressure is steering the process in a way that is driving the left crazy. But it's all down a healthier road that they were the advocates of in the first place. Go figure.
This report is about getting every American to demand the accessibility to good whole food in their neighborhoods. And that, you know, it's going to be a process, but it's already happening. You see these big fast food conglomerates that are switching from seed oils to beef tallow fat. You see them reducing the ingredients. You see Chobani yogurt changing its ingredients because of the demand that has happened because of the MAHA movement.
The MAHA report outlines some staggering statistics that reveal a disturbing downward trend in the health and well-being of Americans, especially American children, over the decades. As documented by the Gateway Pundit, over 40% of the nearly 73 million American children now suffer from at least one chronic health condition, ranging from asthma and allergies to obesity, autoimmune diseases, and behavioral disorders. Child obesity has exploded by more than 270% since the 1970s, with more than 1 in 5 children over the age of 6 now classified as obese. Autism spectrum disorder rates have soared, affecting 1 in 31 children, while childhood cancer has risen an astonishing 40% since 1975. More than 75% of Americans aged 17 to 24 are ineligible for military service, primarily due to obesity, poor physical fitness, or mental health challenges. Kennedy is doing an amazing job in restoring HHS to its proper mandate. It's not about working hand in glove with big pharmaceutical companies to profit off the sickness of others. It's about promoting healthy lifestyles and keeping Americans healthy so they don't get sick in the first place. All right, next let's talk about Memorial Day and the fact that this is not about hot dogs, cookouts, and an extra day off. This is about honoring those who made the ultimate sacrifice, who protected freedom and liberty and provided Americans with security by giving their lives to the cause. Today, President Trump participated in Memorial Day ceremonies at Arlington National Cemetery, including the laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. As many of you who have been to Arlington, especially during the changing of the guard or other ceremonies, know, It's a very special place, honoring those who served, those who wore a uniform to defend this great country and keep us all free. Following the laying of the wreath, President Trump spoke of the sacrifices made to those who we remember today.
We gather today to honor the incredible service members who rest in glory in this cemetery and burial grounds around the world and in 1,000 lonely places known only to God. In every hour of peril and every moment of crisis, American warriors have left behind the blessings of home and family to answer their nation's call.
The president went on to thank those service members who gave of themselves to fight for this country and to offer sympathy to those who grieve for the loss of loved ones.
They've offered all that they had within them and given their last breaths to each and every one of us that we might live safe and breathe free. This morning we pay tribute to their immortal deeds. We share in the sorrow of their beloved families, and as one nation we give thanks for the ultimate gift they have so selflessly given to all of us.
Let us now remember all those who sacrificed for this great country. We are the beacon of the world because of the glowing light of the people who gave so much. May God bless all the souls who love this country so much that no price was too high to pay to ensure that America stands brightest today and for all days to come. And next, here's some rapid-fire headlines from around the country. First, Secretary of State Marco Rubio offered some insight last week on the depth of corruption within USAID. Speaking before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Rubio laid out the stunning facts regarding the foreign aid slush fund that was focused on helping deep state operatives rather than advancing the foreign policy objectives of the United States. As reported by the Gateway Pundit, Rubio testified that only 12 cents of every dollar spent by USAID reached the intended recipients. The other 88% went into the pockets of the foreign aid industrial complex. Next, as reported by the Post Millennial, newly declassified intelligence documents reveal that the Biden administration labeled Americans opposing COVID-19 vaccine and mask mandates as, quote, domestic violent extremists, end quote. The records, declassified by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, indicate that the designation of these individuals created a purpose for agencies such as the FBI to open an assessment of individuals, the first step toward a formal investigation. That's right. Under Biden, free speech could mean you were investigated if your speech wasn't the approved speech. Finally, Massachusetts Democrat Cynthia Stone Cream has introduced a bill in the state legislature to limit how many miles a person can drive with the goal of reducing the need for personal vehicles at all. As reported by the Gateway Pundit, the 82-year-old Cream wants the state government to promulgate regulations that could fine residents for driving too much and force them into riding public transportation using bike paths and walking. It just shows that if you want dystopia and dysfunction, vote Democrat. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Monday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-Minute News Hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.